Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered why your emotions don't feel the same anymore? Why patience feels thinner? Why small stresses hit harder? Or why waves of anxiety or low mood seem to appear without clear cause after 40? For many people, these mood changes are dismissed as simply getting older, being busier, or facing more responsibilities. But what if the real story runs deeper than circumstances, deeper than mindset, deeper even than the brain itself? What if the key to emotional stability is not only in your thoughts, but in your gut? Mood changes after 40? The gut serotonin connection. Explained is not just a scientific phrase. It is a powerful reminder that your biology is not working against you, it is communicating with you. Nearly 90% of the body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter often called the chemical of happiness, is produced in the gut. That means your emotional resilience is not only shaped by life events, but by trillions of microorganisms living inside you. After 40, subtle shifts begin to occur. Hormones that once moved in predictable rhythms start to fluctuate. Estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol influence inflammation levels, sleep quality, and how your body processes stress. At the same time, your gut microbiome begins to change. Diversity may decline, beneficial bacteria may decrease, inflammation may quietly rise. When this happens, serotonin production and transport can become disrupted. The result is not weakness. The result is a biological ripple effect that can manifest as irritability, anxious thoughts, disrupted sleep, or a sense of emotional heaviness that seems difficult to explain. Understanding this connection changes everything. It removes blame. It removes shame. It replaces confusion with clarity. Your body is not betraying you. It is signaling imbalance. When inflammation increases in the gut, communication along the gut-brain axis becomes strained. The vagus nerve, the superhighway between gut and brain, transmits signals influenced by microbial activity. If the microbiome is imbalanced, those signals can promote stress sensitivity rather than calm resilience. Blood sugar swings can intensify this process, creating energy crashes that mirror emotional crashes. Poor sleep further disrupts serotonin regulation, while chronic stress alters microbial composition, forming a feedback loop that strengthens instability instead of balance. But here's the powerful truth. This loop can be reversed. Your gut is adaptable. Your microbiome responds to what you feed it, how you sleep, how you manage stress, and how consistently you support your internal ecosystem. Increasing fiber diversity does more than improve digestion. It fuels beneficial bacteria that support serotonin pathways. Polyphenol-rich foods nourish microbial species that help regulate inflammation. Stabilizing blood sugar creates steady biochemical signals instead of chaotic spikes. Prioritizing restorative sleep allows serotonin receptors to recalibrate. Stress management practices, from breathwork to mindful movement, directly influence vagal tone and gut signaling. When you understand that emotional strength is built from the inside out, you stop fighting yourself and start partnering with your biology. You begin to see mood not as a fixed identity, but as a dynamic state influenced by daily choices. After 40, resilience is not about pushing harder. It is about restoring balance. It is about respecting the connection between hormones, gut health, inflammation, and neurotransmitters. It is about recognizing that emotional stability is not purely psychological. It is deeply physiological. And when you nourish your gut, you are not just improving digestion. You are rebuilding the foundation of your emotional well-being. At this point, you might be thinking that if so much of your mood is rooted in the gut, then why do these changes feel so sudden, almost mysterious, as if they appeared overnight? The truth is that imbalance rarely announces itself loudly in the beginning. It whispers. It shows up as slightly poorer sleep, a little more tension, cravings that feel harder to control, or reactions that seem slightly exaggerated. Over time, those whispers build into patterns. After 40, hormonal transitions intensify this process. Fluctuating estrogen can influence the integrity of the gut lining, altering permeability and increasing inflammatory signaling. Cortisol, the stress hormone, may remain elevated longer than it once did, reshaping microbial populations and disrupting serotonin transport. What once felt manageable now feels overwhelming, and the emotional landscape becomes unfamiliar territory. The suspense lies in this hidden interplay. You may work harder on your mindset, repeat affirmations, push through workouts, and still feel something is off. You may question your motivation, your discipline, even your identity. Yet beneath the surface, a biochemical storm could be quietly forming. Inflammation, even at low levels, interferes with tryptophan metabolism, the amino acid precursor to serotonin. Instead of being converted efficiently into serotonin, it may be diverted into pathways that promote irritability or mental fog. This is not a character flaw. It is a metabolic shift. Imagine your gut as an orchestra conductor. When balanced, it coordinates hormones, neurotransmitters, immune signals, and energy production in harmony. But when microbial diversity declines and inflammatory compounds increase, the rhythm falters. Communication between gut and brain becomes distorted. The vagus nerve transmits stress signals more readily than calming ones. Sleep fragments, blood sugar fluctuates. Emotional tolerance narrows. The unsettling part is that many people attribute these symptoms solely to aging or life stress, never realizing the biological undercurrent shaping their experience. And here is where the turning point begins. Awareness creates agency. When you recognize that the gut-serotonin connection is not abstract, but active inside you every day, you begin to see small choices as powerful levers. Fiber is not just roughage. It is fuel for bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that reduce inflammation and support neurotransmitter balance. Fermented foods are not trends. They introduce beneficial microbes that strengthen the intestinal barrier and improve signaling. Stable blood sugar is not about dieting. It is about preventing cortisol spikes that disturb microbial equilibrium. Sleep is not indulgence. It is repair time for both gut lining and serotonin receptors. Stress management is not weakness. It is direct regulation of inflammatory pathways. But suspense remains because transformation requires consistency. The microbiome does not rebalance in a day. It responds gradually, adapting to patterns over weeks and months. There will be moments when progress feels invisible. There will be days when old moods resurface. This is not failure. It is recalibration. The body learns through repetition. Each nourishing meal, each night of quality sleep, each deliberate breath sends a message of safety to your nervous system and stability to your gut. Slowly, the orchestra regains rhythm. Emotional responses soften. Sleep deepens. Stress becomes manageable rather than consuming. The mystery of midlife mood shifts begins to dissolve, replaced by understanding. Instead of asking what is wrong with me, you begin asking what does my biology need? That shift in perspective is empowering. It reframes aging not as decline, but as an invitation to refine how you care for yourself. The gut-serotonin connection is not a limitation. It is a gateway. And once you understand the hidden mechanisms shaping your mood, you hold the tools to influence them. The suspense gives way to possibility. And possibility gives way to resilience built from the inside out. You are rebuilding the foundation of your emotional well-being. Now imagine what your life can look like when you stop fighting invisible battles and start strengthening the system that governs your emotional stability from within. After 40, wisdom grows, experience deepens, and perspective sharpens. Yet many people feel their emotional ground becoming less steady. The truth is that your power has not diminished. It has simply shifted locations. It now resides in your daily rituals, in the quiet biological processes that either inflame or restore, destabilize or balance. When you understand that most of your serotonin is produced in your gut, you realize that emotional resilience is something you cultivate physically as much as mentally. Every meal becomes a message. Every night of sleep becomes an investment. Every stress response becomes an opportunity to retrain your nervous system. This is not about chasing constant happiness. It is about building steadiness. It is about widening your window of tolerance so that stress does not hijack your mood and hormonal fluctuations do not dictate your identity. The gut-serotonin connection teaches you that inflammation is not merely physical discomfort, it is emotional interference. When you reduce inflammatory triggers, whether through whole foods rich in fiber and polyphenols, balanced macronutrients that stabilize blood sugar, or mindful practices that calm cortisol, you are clearing static from the communication line between gut and brain. And as that static fades, clarity returns. You begin sleeping more deeply because serotonin is also a precursor to melatonin, the hormone that governs restorative sleep. You wake with steadier energy because your microbiome is no longer sending distress signals to your immune system. You respond rather than react because your vagus nerve is transmitting calm rather than chaos. These changes may appear subtle at first, but subtle shifts accumulate into profound transformation. The key is consistency, fueled by belief. You must believe that your body is capable of adaptation. You must trust that resilience can be rebuilt. After 40, the body may not recover the way it did at 20, but it responds intelligently to alignment. Increase the diversity of plant fibers and you increase microbial diversity. Protect your sleep and you protect serotonin regulation. Manage stress intentionally and you reduce inflammatory signaling that disrupts neurotransmitter balance. This is empowerment rooted in biology. Instead of labeling yourself moody, anxious, or irritable, you begin to see yourself as responsive to inputs. Change the inputs and you change the outcomes. There is something deeply liberating about that realization. It removes judgment and replaces it with strategy. It transforms frustration into curiosity. You are not broken. You are adaptable. Mood changes after 40 are not a verdict. They are feedback. They are invitations to examine the internal ecosystem that sustains your emotional life. When you nourish that ecosystem, you create stability that radiates outward into relationships, work, creativity, and purpose. You begin to feel grounded again, not because life has fewer challenges, but because your internal chemistry supports resilience. This is the deeper message behind mood changes after 40. The gut-serotonin connection explained. It is not merely science. It is a roadmap to reclaiming emotional strength through intentional living. Your gut is not separate from your mind. It is a partner in your mental clarity, your calmness, your joy. Treat it as such. Feed it diversity. Protect it from chronic stress. Give it sleep. Give it nourishment. And in return, it will support the serotonin balance that steadies your mood and sharpens your focus. The transformation begins quietly, but it builds momentum with every aligned choice. You have more influence than you think. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early. It reframes aging not as decline, but as an invitation to refine how you care for yourself. The gut-serotonin connection is not a limitation. It is a gateway. And once you understand the hidden mechanisms shaping your mood, you hold the tools to influence them. The suspense gives way to possibility, and possibility gives way to resilience built from the inside out. You are rebuilding the foundation of your emotional well-being.